Welcome to the Disney Parks Podcast, your Disney infotainment podcast. Keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast at all times and get ready for the Disney Parks Podcast.
Hey, everybody, welcome. We have an interesting show for you, something you may not have thought of, but are going to go, oh, I get it now. We're going to talk with two people, Lee and Mercina, who are, I think, leading the charge on trying to get Greece as another country in Epcot, which, listen, from everything I know, there is a place to put another country. There is I think they call them an expansion pad, and I think it's possible. So we're going to start with you guys. You know, how did this? Let's start with this. Like, how did Lee? How did you get? How did your mojo with Disney begin?
Mojo, I'm going to use that. I'm going to write that down. So, how did this start? I've told this story so many times. It's like
I know.
press and rewind, But I'm kind of glad you asked that first because that was
Yeah.
hoping what I'd lead with. So about 2 years before COVID, my family and I, so my wife's side of the family, my wife is from Toronto, Canada, but she's also Greek. And my side of the family, which is from the Boston area, we all just kind of said, hey, we're going to go to Disney, and we all ended up going there, right? And I have to break off on some tangents, but I'll try to come back to the story because it's part of it. But when we got there, we went to all the countries, right, in Epcot, and I love the World Showcase. I think it's great, but, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, I can't believe you're saying this and you're a Disney fan, but I can say this because I am a Disney fan. It's getting tired. It's really getting tired. Like they need a spark, right? And I'm going to be biased because I am Greek, but no better spark than Greece, right?
Right.
So when we got there, my wife's uncle was like, hey, where can we go get something Greek to eat? And I said, you know what? In the back of my head, I'm like, Cat Cora had just closed a couple years beforehand, which I think they did. I think they did her a disservice because anything that they put on the boardwalk, I think, is just put there to die.
Yeah.
Because it's out of the way. Like if you spend all this money to go to Disney World, you're kind of cramped for time, right? You're down to the minute, or if not the second, right? Like fast passes, catch the bus at 7:00, be at the rope drop, like everything. So the last thing you want to do is have to get on a boat that you have to wait for to go to down at Disney. The boardwalk.
Yeah, and a slow boat.
Mind you, yeah, and the food was it was a beautiful location. The food was fantastic, but when we went, it was no longer there. So I asked one of the cast members. I said, "Excuse me, like, is there anywhere around here to get something Greek?" And I can still see the girl. I can see what she was wearing and how she said it. She looks at me. She goes, "Yeah, you can just go to Morocco and get Greek food." And I'm like, and in the back of my head, I'm like, am I going to go to Germany for Chinese food? I'm like, what are you talking about? So in the back of my head, I'm also thinking, I'm like, I come to Disney, and like we spoke before, because it's not that I'm into like all the Disney movies. I love the atmosphere and the attention to detail.
Sure. Yep.
Now, sidebar, if you go to the Italian Pavilion, right, and you go to Via Napoli, which is a great pizza restaurant, the pizza's fantastic. And the reason why the pizza's so good is because, one, they bring the ingredients over there. Yep. The ovens, I think, they designed them a certain way, from what I read, that they were kind of the same there in Italy.
Yep.
And then third, they bring the water over. And at times when they couldn't bring water over, they had people go looking for springs with the same mineral content as Napoli, Italy. So you're eating a pizza that's pretty close to accurate. So Disney went all out of their way to nail it, right? To stick the landing. So we end up going to the Moroccan Pavilion, and we go to the restaurant there, and so the name slipped my mind, which I'm kind of glad. And we look at the menu, and that's when it hit me. My wife was like, "Are you okay?" Like I just started fuming like a volcano, and I looked at the menu, and I saw. And again, some are Middle Eastern, so they go back and forth. Right. Baklava is one of those things that it could be any country in the Middle East, right?
Yep.
Right? And tzatziki, that's arguable. But there was one that stuck out. It was so blatant. It's actually posted on my Instagram page. It said tiropitakia. Now, anybody that's Greek, if I say tiropitakia, their mouth is probably watering at this point, right? Because our mothers all made them the same way. There's two ways to do it: one with cheese and one with spinach. And they're little triangles that have like egg wash on them, and they're baked in the oven with phyllo dough, right?
Okay.
Which the name comes tiropitakia. Tiro means cheese, pitaki means the pita bread that it's wrapped in.
Okay.
Blatant. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I said to the girl, I said, this isn't from here, right?
Moroccan.
And she's like, she had no clue. She had no idea that it wasn't from Morocco. And then I saw Mythos Beer, I saw Ouzo, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of odd. So then when I started doing a little investigative work, you've come to find out that the CEO of Disney Park in Richmond was a gentleman by the name of George Kalogridis, or in Greek, Kalogridis, as we would do with our accent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a second. How much money does this guy make? I'm like, and he messed up his own country. I'm like you don't have the strings to pull. So anyway, getting back to it, that's how it got me going. I turned to my wife. I'm like, I'm going to start a petition. This is not, and I said it during the trip. So she's like, he's probably going to forget about it when he gets home, and that's it.
Right.
I literally we got home on a Saturday night, Sunday morning at home, sitting at the kitchen table upstairs, right above me. I grabbed a napkin, I started doodling. And my wife is like, what is that? I go, what do you think? She's like, oh, it's kind of cool, but what is it? I go, it's a pavilion for Disney. She's like, oh, okay. And again, my wife ignored me, whatever. And then I started drawing renderings, and then I started posting things. As I started posting, people started liking my stuff. And I got a call from a gentleman, and he couldn't join us today because he's away. Thanos Voudouris. Now, Thanos was an integral part at the beginning. He does all the IT behind the scenes stuff.
Okay.
He calls me up, on Facebook. He goes, hi, Lee, my name is Thanos. I'd like to help you with your petition. Now, being the average Greek, when a Greek reaches out to help you, you're like, wait a second. How much money does this guy want, right? Mind you, he wanted nothing. He wanted nothing. Thanos is, and his resume, my wife pulled it up while I was looking at this guy, is retired from NASA. He was a computer programmer. The guy's a borderline genius, and literally, Tony, in 30 seconds while I was talking to him on the phone when we had our initial phone call,
right,
he designed a petition site. He goes, hey, I just sent you an email. And I'm like, that was quick. I blinked and it was there.
Yeah.
So he's like, let me help you. So we got the ball rolling, started the petition. And again, if you go to the beginning of the Instagram page to today, you can see it evolve because I did everything on my iPhone. Everything was drawn on my iPhone.
Sure.
Then my wife got me an iPad to bring it, more to life, make it easier for myself so I don't go blind. So I started posting, and then a gentleman by the name of, and I do need to thank him, and I will get back to the beginning, because there's a couple of people I want to thank. One gentleman was from Montreal. He's a comedian, Angelo Tarujas, who lives in LA now.
Okay.
He is the goat of Greek comedians. He's not only is he a funny guy, but he's Greek at heart, and he's like, hey, I'm all in on this thing. He goes, can I make a video for you? I'm like, sure. So if you go to our Instagram page, you'll see a video by him. Okay. Another gentleman, George Zouvelos, who is a actor-director from New York, also made a video for us. We've had a couple famous people sign it. And at one point, I had a couple of likes. I can't remember from Mercina, like my stuff, or I liked her stuff. It was whatever it was. She had
I think I liked yours first.
Yeah, and then I saw her stuff, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. And she's like, well, I'm Greek, and I'm like, I'm Greek, so we connected that way. And I saw some of her work, some of her work, and I'm like, wow, this is better than the stuff you get in Disney World. It's like her stuff is like Disney stuff is like, wow, look what I got. But if somebody wore something of Mercina's, they'd be like, oh, look what I got. You know what I mean? Like it's two different. And I fell in love with her work, and I'm like, we clicked, and we're like, hey, why don't we combine forces and see what happens? One more Greek wouldn't hurt, right? So now we got three, and that's pretty much how it started. And right now, we had hit a speed bump with COVID. COVID kind of put the kibosh on a few things.
Sure.
We were rolling. Right now we're closing in on 6,000 signatures. We need 250 to make noise. And I found this out from a gentleman who helped build the restaurant in Epcot.
Okay.
Who's Greek as well. He retired. He reached out to Thanos and I years back, and he's like, hey, listen, I love your passion. He goes, I saw your rendering. And the story goes, typical Greek story, Greece had a pavilion in line when the World Showcase was opening.
Oh,
right?
wow.
They were one of the they were technically one of the first countries they thought of. So they had a financial backer. Now there's probably some spots I'm missing in the story. So if anybody knows more, just fill in the blanks. But this is the stuff I know of. They had a huge financial backer. Greek actress singer Melina Mercouri was supposed to be the spokesperson.
Okay.
And the rest was going to get paid by businessmen from like the Tarpon Springs area, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when
Which is
it
filled
came
with
across,
Greek people.
right.
Tarpon
So they
Springs is all
had
Greek.
right. So it's not a lot of people like, oh, the country has to be in. Well, yeah, the country has to be in, but you also have to get the financial backing. So they had
Yeah.
it, and one thing led to another. Yeah, one thing led to another, and when it came time to collect the money, all the Greeks scattered like rats, which is par for the course for them, you know. And I'm like, and I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah.
So so that's how far we got, and then I'll let Mercina fill in whatever she wants to.
Yeah, the bill came and they all went up and disappeared.
Yeah.
Yep.
You should reach out to George Kalogridis. He's retired from Disney now.
I did.
And
I
did he
did.
want to join?
You know what? I was gonna post it one day. My wife's like, you shouldn't do that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I talked about this with Mercina because we were thinking about maybe doing like a monthly like podcast to bring people up to speed.
Yeah.
I did email him, and I if you give me a second, I think I can pull it
Yeah,
up.
because George is a really nice guy. I met him at a D23 event. But my story of George was we met him at this event. He was going from table to table talking to everybody. And I just asked him, I said, hey, George, what's coming, what's new? And he goes, well, there's a couple things. We're going to get a Toy Story Land, a Star Wars Land. He told us all these things that Disney hadn't even announced. These were years before any of this stuff was going on. And I'm like, I feel like I need to sign an NDA now before I leave this building because I have all this information of things that are going to happen that Disney hasn't even talked about.
I did. I could share this, and I don't care. This is why Mercina and I were thinking about this because I want to play like sometimes in the world you need good cop, bad cop, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like Mercina be the good cop, and I'll be the bad cop, right? Because I have to be angry for the Greeks because nobody else is, And I'm like, so I will share with you what he said, and his spelling. You could tell he didn't care because he didn't spell check any of this, but I don't know if you could see that or not.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh. Can you read that?
Yeah, thank you. Forwarded the information to the teams as well. Thank you for your interest, George. Okay, well, all right.
Yeah, he spelled U-Y-O. Yeah. I guess I had to buy the U, but anyway. Listen, it was more or less. I would rather him not have answered me at all instead of right. But that's and the other thing too is if you go to Disney Springs, right, and you go to Wine Bar George.
Right.
I called them out. I was there. I posted it. The wine list had wines from. Now, mind you, George is a master sommelier.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So if you looked at the menu, there was South Africa, Kenya, France, Italy, United, everywhere. There was not one single Greek wine anywhere. In downtown Boston right now, there's a place called Krasi. Krasi in Greek means wine.
Okay.
They serve tons of wines, but most of them are Greek wines. The place is slamming, right? Because Greeks make great wine. We do. Our region is wonderful. It's beautiful. It's perfect grape weather, right?
Right.
But this guy had absolutely not one. And then when I called them out on the internet, they're like, oh, well, we do ounce glasses that aren't listed. And I'm like, that's even worse. I'm like, well, why would you not include your own country? So I have a bone to pick with those two guys because my parents are both Greek from Greece, right? Yeah. My mom came here when she was 16. My dad came here when she was 21. Became naturalized citizens. They did it the right way. They and raised my brother and I. And I look at it and I'm a proud Greek. We try to go back as often as possible. Heck, I even married a Greek. So, and
that seals the deal.
And if you look at my last name down here, I'm like, I don't think it gets any more Greek than that. So
right.
I was going to say, look at the last name.
Right. Like I almost need an iPad to stretch it out to the next screen. But I have a bone to pick with them. So that's how this came about. And the reasons I think Greece would be perfect are 100 miles along.
Mm.
There's
There's so much to offer.
Yeah.
Oh, Disney is about, at the end of the day, it's not about the cartoons. It's not. It's about how much are they going to make, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to spark a pavilion, put in a pavilion that's going to create a spark. Excuse me. Greece is the one to do it because every 2 years you have the Summer and Winter Olympics. There are people like, I'm a huge Disney fan, but there's people who like go out of their way and mortgage their house to go get pins. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And those people like would love to have a 2020. What's that?
They do all the marathon weekends.
Yeah, all the like if you wanted to start a marathon, they have the Run Disney marathons.
Sure.
Yeah. What better place either to start or finish at a Greek where the marathon started? You know what I mean? Like I don't know what the Imagineers are thinking, but somebody's like missing it, and Greece's resume speaks for itself.
Right.
I was just ready to say. How many people spend thousands of dollars every summer to go to Greece? And it's like inevitable that you're going to have to put something in that the people really do want.
Right.
And look at the number of people that travel to Greece every year.
Keeps going up.
3 weeks vacation. Yeah. I mean, if you put that pavilion in, I guarantee the first year Disney's going to pull so many people into Epcot.
Oh my God, yeah. Right. Oh my God, yeah.
There's obviously a need for it.
So you need 250,000 signatures, right?
So we need. The plan is, and I have things in order. I mean, I try not to you get one shot to do this, so it's not like you can piecemeal it. But we want to get a certain amount of signatures. What's that?
Right. To get their attention.
Right. We got to get their attention. Followed up by somebody who's close to an A-lister who'd want to say, hey, this is a great idea, right? And I'll give you a sidebar story how sometimes things work out. So when Nia Vardalos was pushing Big Fat Greek Wedding, she tapped the shoulder of Tom Hanks. That's kind of what we're trying to do. We want the same thing. Once we have that, we have an idea to reach out to certain investors at Greek-owned companies. Yeah. And I think percentage-wise, there's more millionaire Greeks than there are any other nationality in the world. So I'm like, we can find somebody that will, at least put the money in for it. That's not going to be hard. I think it's just bringing the attention to it, and that's the biggest thing for us, Yeah. And like Mercina said, just alone, every couple of years, you got the Summer and Winter Olympics, right? People are going to go buy pins and shirts. They want the 2020 Olympics, the 2024 Olympics, the 2026, whatever it is. They want that memorabilia, right? The food. You can't, there's food out there that Greece is one country that actually has a blue zone. For people who don't know what a blue zone is, it's where people have the best health and eat the healthiest food and live closer to 100. Yeah. So our food is there. The entertainment. Who doesn't love Greek dancing? I mean, that alone would be there's just so many angles. There's just so many things. And I'm just shocked that a company like Disney hasn't thought this through. And they want to bring Brazil, right? And listen, if in a perfect world, I'd like to see all the countries there, but it's not big enough. I think they have spots, from what I remember, for 6 more countries. And the spot I was thinking of, when you go over Paris, right, heading back towards the middle of the park, there's a space right there. And considering Greece is surrounded by water, that would be a perfect spot because it's surrounded by water.
Sure.
So I don't think if they're going to put one in, if we can get them to do it, I wouldn't want to see it dropped, be landlocked. I want it to be by the water, right?
I think the perfect spot, and Tony, you know this, is where they used to have the boats come out for the nighttime show between Africa, China, and Germany, where that little African outpost is.
Yeah.
You would have put that there, Lee. They could make the most gorgeous taverna along that river
I know.
And then that little front could have been like a nice little beach with some fishing boats and stuff.
Yeah.
And then just imagine that whole, because it's actually, if you look on the map, it's actually a triangular area.
Right.
They could put the Acropolis all the way like on a mountain, and put the ride, like you said, put the ride in there, and just coming down the little pathway like Greece and Santorini is just the little shops and stuff, the placas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like the perfect area.
Yeah.
To put Greece.
Have you spoken to like a Greek restaurant company that would say, hey, you know, if you guys get petition and Disney decides to build it, we would love to build a restaurant in Epcot. You know,
here's
get a
the thing.
restaurateur to do that.
I think Epcot has to approve it, and I think if they did, they probably get like an Iron Chef type. Maybe I don't know if they'd reach out to Kat Cora again, but they would probably want to name.
I think she would do it.
Yeah.
I think she would do it.
I bet she would too. It's like there's so many things that need to happen, but like I've been doing this so long now, I'm like, I'm not quitting. I'm not.
Right.
I'm like, if I have to take it into my casting,
we're getting Grease in there.
You know.
All right, so what's your vision? What's your thinking for this pavilion? What do you want to see there? So restaurant, shop, attraction. What's the vision? What are you thinking?
The Greeks, you know, when you go to certain pavilions in Disney World, you see a lot of like their dance troupes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd like to see them bring in some traditional Greek dance troupes.
Yes.
I'd like them to really get Disney to get Greece right. And by what I mean is, and I got to deliver this the right way, because some people might be like, oh, you know how I'm thinking, but when you watch like Hercules, right?
Mm-hmm.
The movie Hercules, and you watch
there's your IP right there.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it's you look at some of the characters. Yeah, the meet and greet would be great, but some of the characters in the movie Hercules aren't Greek, if you know what I mean. And they had the soundtrack was very Southern Baptist, and I'm like, I go to Greek church all the time, and it doesn't sound like this. But they'll go out of their way for every Mulan they nail. Anna and Elsa they nail.
Yeah.
Their history and their culture they nail. But for the Greeks, for some reason, it's, pardon my French, it's bastardized. It's like all the stuff they're doing isn't right. You know, on their cartoons, you got some characters that are mixed into other cartoons that are just renamed that should be Poseidon, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, and the biggest thing that I'm pushing for at the same time, and this is the biggest no-brainer going. So Disney's figured out that the best way to sell their motion pictures is to go after little girls. They love Anna and Elsa. My niece is turning, she's 10 and she still loves Anna. Mulan, all of those characters. But where is the goddess Athena? Where is she? Yeah. Like that alone, like the history behind that. You know, she's Hercules' half sister. There's so, I'm like, it just, the hair stands up on end on my arm when I think about it. I'm like, how cool that would be. But at the same time, I have like this anger, like, who is not opening their mouth in these meetings? Like, it's a given. It's a given how this would explode for Disney and the showcase, you know. So,
but
I don't know.
In essence, too, as a mom of 3 boys, okay, there's really not that much. There's so much for princesses.
Yeah.
Like, I think they could take Hercules and just go all out on that for little boys. They have the pirates, that's fine. But, you know, Hercules, and the story behind Hercules.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just for little boys to have something.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, they do try to go for that.
Princesses have enough.
Yeah. I agree. Saying. I agree. I say it all the time. If you go on a Disney cruise ship, it's all about, you know, princesses.
It's all about the princesses.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they did get Aladdin, and that's great, but that's only one.
Yeah.
You know.
And and mind you, they remade Aladdin with a live action. They haven't done anything with Hercules. Yeah. It's the one thing that they either get it, like they get it going and then they stop, and that's the part that, like, you say to yourself, like who is in these meetings who's not letting it happen? Yeah. Right.
Clearly
like, why are we pushing this one country more? Right. I don't know. We'll see.
And you know, well, the food and wine booth for Greece has been there for how long? It's been there probably since the beginning.
And the line for that booth.
Yeah.
There's
And, by the way,
always at least a 25-minute wait.
Yeah, speaking of which, they had in that booth, they had this thing called Greek nachos. Just for the record, we don't eat nachos. We don't eat nachos. There is not a nacho in a Greek household anywhere. Period. So so when they do a Greek thing,
You sure it wasn't just a pita fry?
I know what you're saying.
Well, you know what? Ask a Greek. You know what? In a perfect world, if we could get, I would get my mom and my mother-in-law, who are both amazing cooks, and say, make me 10 things that we know that people are going to love, and that would be what they serve. I had mentioned on one of my posts on Instagram, they have, what's that?
And something that can be done fast and quickly, like a plate service.
In Greece, there's this thing called kalamakia. Kalamakia are they're skewer sticks that are all like little chicken chunks, right?
Delicious.
Right.
I guarantee you, a small child that's going around the park it'll be easier for him to eat that than that veiny, disgusting turkey leg that I could not ever buy again and not miss it. Honestly, who thought of the same person who thought of that should have been fired the next day.
Tony, I warned you he was passionate.
There isn't anything worse than that tendony.
It's like watching Fred Flintstone walk around with.
Oh my God!
It's a block of salt. It's a block of salt.
And then you got the juices running down your arm they're a mess. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But that's there's so many things we could do with this. So I'm trying to bring attention to it. I think Mercina will agree. I've upped my game with my Instagram posts. I'm trying to make them. I've used a little bit of AI and generate some stuff, and we're getting looks. I did get a like by John Stamos. I did get a like.
All right.
And and I tagged him back. I said, hey, jump on in anytime you want.
I mean, he is one of the hugest Disney fans, from what I understand.
Oh yeah, he's got the original Disneyland signed in his backyard.
Yeah, he does. He has a collection. He's got a lifetime pass.
Yeah, I know.
He
doesn't need one. He can afford it.
Disney World.
Well, I'm going to reach out to him through this if he sees it and say, hey, listen, your little son Billy, when you bring him there, what are you going to tell him? Hey, Dad, you work for Disney. Why don't you do something?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a no-brainer that all certain countries deserve a spot there.
Right.
Personally, I think Greece is the one that's going to put the biggest spark. Honestly.
Oh yeah.
And just the people and not only that, but if you think about it, it's the one guy that's going to show up is Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Right. He's one of, if not the biggest star in the world. He'd be there for that because he does the voice of Woody. He was Walt Disney. John Stamos will show up. Who knows who else will show up? But that's we're looking at.
Yeah. I have to still find out. A friend of mine, their uncle, I think, was the vice president of Disney. I don't know if they still are because there's been some changes, but I'll have to find out. Maybe get you somebody to talk to at an executive level of Epcot.
Hey, make it happen.
Hey, listen.
Come on, Tony.
In a perfect world, Mercina could do all the T-shirts, hats, and everything. And listen, I won't speak for Mercina. This is me saying this. I'll do it for free. I put up a picture of Disney's rendering for the Brazil Pavilion, which was awful. Whoever got paid to draw that, awful. Side by side, we put ours, and we got a big bump. And
I'm right there with you.
I just think it'll bring in a good clientele of people to come see the Greece Pavilion.
Yeah. And what are we thinking for an attraction? Because they are trying to slam IP into every, World Showcase now. I think everybody's going to get some kind of attraction. Because for me, if, local, they've just started doing it. But as a local, it's like Epcot's two separate parks for me. Either I'm in the front doing the attractions or I'm in the back doing dining. And if I go to the back to do dining with some friends or whatever, I never go to the front. I just leave. And then if I'm in the front, I'm too tired. I'm not going all the way to the back to have pizza in Vietnam. I leave. So,
well, it's funny you say that with the front because sorry to cut you off because I'm going to forget. I'm very forgetful. When you go on Soarin', it's been updated twice.
Right.
And Greece is not there.
Really?
And
No Greece. Nope.
No.
Well,
See,
And
I'm kind of
that,
that's
wait.
weird.
I'm kind of conflicted when you say about a ride. Like, what kind of ride would you want?
Yeah.
On one hand, I would like to see something like Paris has, like a visual of Greece, because Greece is beautiful.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I would like to have a Hercules ride, like they have the Anna and Elsa Frozen ride, a ride about the movie.
Yeah.
Is there a way we can get both things in there? They have Remy.
What about a boat ride through Greece?
Right.
Yeah. A boat ride through the countryside of Greece.
Mm-hmm.
With all the nice smells and visuals.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a, if you sat there and thought about it, it's such a no-brainer. It really is. There's no, every country, here's fun fact for you. So the UK and Paris both have pavilions, right?
Yep.
But if you go to the British Museum, 85% of their history in the museum is the Parthenon marbles. I don't want to say the other name, but and if you go to Paris, if you go to the Louvre, there's a ton of stuff there too. Like every country has been shaped by Greece. I forgot who it was, but they said Greece without, Europe without Greece is like a baby without a birth certificate.
Oh, wow.
And it's every country that's there. Yeah. I forgot who said it. There's somebody famous who said it. I think it might have been the French president, but don't correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody might be Googling it now, but that's that's it in a nutshell. Every country's taken something from Greece. Everybody has.
Yeah.
Like the Parthenon. You were just talking. Mercina was talking about the Parthenon. Every single town hall, city hall in the United States, Washington D.C. is covered. Go look at the Lincoln Monument and tell me you don't see the Parthenon.
Yeah.
Every college, universities, the sororities all have Greek letters.
Yeah.
50,000 of the words in the English language are Greek rooted.
Yeah.
The Olympics, marathons,
theater,
democracy. There's a big one. The sciences, math. You can go on and on and on. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, are we overqualified for this job? Are we going to steal too much thunder from somebody? But you know what? You should. When you go to the Canada Pavilion, we went for my wife. Martin Short comes out and does this beautiful piece. You're in that 360-degree room, and it's really you get the My wife was like, "Wow, this is so cool." Like she saw her country. Like what does the country that shaped everyone not have Greeks going there going, "Wow, this is
right."
But I think eventually we'll get there. I'm not giving up. I try to post all the time. I put stuff out there all the time. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yeah. So, what do you people that are listening? What are things that they can do to help you kind of achieve this goal?
First and foremost, go to I would start with the Instagram page and check out some of the stuff, because I posted like foods that we would serve, rides. Right. I did create a ride. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of renderings to give you an idea of what you might see.
Gorgeous renderings too, by the way.
I use my art background to do that. A lot of it, it's crazy. A lot of it now with the AI, you take that photo. I created one photo that I thought was one of my better ones. Mm-hmm. And I dumped it in AI, and all of a sudden the people started moving, and I'm like, wow, this is real. And I'm like, I'm gonna post it,
Yeah.
So people are starting. I got a new. Yeah, I'm like a kid on it's like Christmas morning,
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do. Just try to give a visual, because sometimes people say they need to see it, right? And some people I love the book, but I like the movie too.
Yeah.
Some people need the movie. Well, we're the movie. You need to see. And I'll put it out there. I'll say it. I'm like, anyone that's working at Disney, I'll do this for free. I want to do it for the Greeks. That's it. I don't want any money. As a matter of fact, I put my own money. Mercina's put in her time. Like, she goes to Greek festivals, puts up we have what's it called? A barcode scanner.
I go begging people for
QR
signatures.
code?
Yeah, QR code. One of them things. I think it's behind her over there somewhere.
Right there.
So, I'm doing this for the Greeks. I'm doing it for us. My wife and I don't have children, but I have nieces and nephews. I have cousins who have kids. I have friends who have kids that, I'm like, I want them to at least say, hey, I think I know the guy and girl who did this,
Right.
maybe 20, 30 years from now,
Right.
But we deserve it. We deserve it. There's no other country that would. I'll argue with anyone. You name it. You want to say Brazil, you want to say any other country. I'll argue to the death for Greece. I will.
Right.
I love my country. I love my history. I love where I'm from, and that's why I'm doing it. So.
All right, so tell everybody where they can go. Tell them, about the website, the petition, and where they can go and sign the petition.
The Instagram page is Greece and Disney. Greece and Disney. And the website is www.greece.org/Epcot.
Okay.
And cool. We just, if you put it asks you for email, we don't send you anything. We just keep track of it. You won't get some email blast at 2 a.m. from us. It's just for the petition, and that's it. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go. Hopefully soon we'll see a Greek pavilion in Epcot.
And that's right. I'm sorry to talk your ear off.
Hopefully soon we'll all be sitting there with a frappe.
Right.
What is that?
Frappe?
It's an iced coffee.
Oh, that sounds good.
But it's made with it's mixed with what's that thing called? It whips it. It almost whips it.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a big thing.
It's a frozen coffee.
Oh. Yes, please. I love coffee.
Yeah. I mean, it'll keep you up for like 4 days, but hell, it tastes really good.
That's
perfect to get through the whole park.
Right?
See, now if you store it right there in Paris, then I can make it all the way around without taking a nap.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, go check them out on their website and their Insta. Sign the petition. This is the only way we're going to get this done. How many? What count are we at now? How many people we got?
We're just at 6,000.
Okay, we need a lot.
We need a lot. It's you know what? I'm shocked that we haven't had more, but it's we're trying to get the word out. Unfortunately, I have a job in the daytime. Otherwise, I would do this 24/7, get it done faster.
Right.
I think we'll get there. I think someone will eventually. Somebody with a name will see it out there and say, "Hey, well, let's help these guys out." Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not asking for anything other than your signature. We've actually put our money into this.
Yeah.
So
the best thing would be once you do it and you sign it, share it with people. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. Just tell them to share it, and we'll keep the ball rolling.
Keep the ball rolling.
That would be
it's like the old Herbal Essence commercial. If these 5 people tell these 5 people, we'll be at 250,000.
Right.
So.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Mercina,
Tony.
for bringing this to our attention, and we'll see you in the parks.
All right. Thank you.
The Disney Parks Podcast is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company. All Disney parks, attractions, lands, shows, event names, etc. are registered trademarks of the Walt Disney Company.